Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Dominions 4, and we're going to take a quick look at the new nation that just came out with the patch release 4.07b called Ragha. So this nation just came out, and it's kind of a combination between Abyssia and Calum, with the two nations, one of heat and one of ice, working together. The map I'm going to use to showcase it is the map Three Kings by Machio. It's just a short little map. It's a dual map for two pretenders. They say you could have a third, but it's really unique and neat. I never actually play an LP on it, so I figure I'd give it some exposure in this little preview. So Ragha is in the late ages, and it is in the same period as both Calum, Return of the Raptors, and Abyssia, the Blood of Humans. And I guess the way the story goes is that the Abyssians were a big empire, but they were defeated by Archocephalae, and this little enclave of Abyssians formed their own nation. And they eventually were going to be conquered by the great Calum Empire, but the Calum split up into warring factions where the Raptors, the evil Calum, I guess, were winning. And so the remaining Seraphs, the good Calum, they banded together with the Abyssians of this small enclave, Tur, I believe it is, and they formed the nation of Ragha together. Now for my enemy, I don't want to fight anybody, so I'm just going to pick Patala. They're pretty weak. I'm going to set it at easy AI and a defensive. I just need to play, but I don't want to actually play, if you know what I mean. So you can read the nation description here if you'd like to. It'll give you a bit more flavor than what I did. Basically, what you need to keep in mind is that this nation has some troops that can only be recruited in a hot dominion, and some troops that can only be recruited in a cold dominion. They also have access to a lot of different magical paths, but not nature. So let's see. The patch also released some new pretenders. These guys here, the Ahuras and the Devas. And they are very strange. Like, I don't get them in the sense that they cost 70 points to get to a new magic path. And, well, this guy's free. I don't know if that's supposed to be like that. Yeah, this guy's 50. They're not very strong. And then you have these guys up here who are super strong, and they only cost 50 for a new magic path. So, and they cost the same. So I don't understand the difference. Like, I don't know why these guys are more expensive, but whatever. I do want to show them off. Now, I've already planned out exactly how I want to do my pretender in order to cast some of the late game summons of this nation. So I'm going to go with the Ganog Menog, which has fear, invulnerability, fire resistance, ethereal demon, so he can be banished. Got to watch out for that. Teleportation and chaos power. Maybe it's just because they have so many goodies here. I'm not going to use the chaos power at all. In fact, I'm going to have an order dominion like I normally do. So he starts with 2 death and 1 fire. I'm going to go with 2 fire, 5 astral, and 4 death. I'm not saying you should do this to play the nation, but it's what I'm going to do in order to be able to cast all of the summon spells and show you them. And then at this point, it doesn't really matter what I have, so I am going to go dormant, get some points, and I'm going to go with some order and production, 1 little bit of misfortune with order, and I have more points than I thought I was going to have. 5 astral, 4 death. Dormant. 2 fire. Interesting. Okay. Gets more dominion. Alright, wonderful. So, I'm going to name the god after the nation. And again, this is not the optimal god for this nation. I'm just doing it because it'll allow me to show off the national summons. Now I'm going to split this showcase into 2 episodes, I think. The first will be I'll introduce the troops and the basic beginning stuff. Then I will play the game behind the scenes, and later I will come back like I do with the mod showcases and show you all the summons. In order to do that, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to raise the strength of the independents to keep the AI at bay. I'm going to increase the resources, the money, and supply. I'm going to make it very easy research. And that's about it. really. Okay, so first of all, let's look at this beautiful map here. Three Kings by Machio. The start positions are set. There's one here and one here. I guess there's one in the water too, but I don't know where exactly. The throne positions are set. There's one here, and one here. So actually, this would be kind of a fun dual map, and it's got a fun little colorful scribbly art style that I think is really neat too. And there's a throne right there on top of the mountain. That's cool. Actually, they're all thrones. Throne there, throne there. So this would work even without the throne sprite, but there you have it. So you can already see the new flag. It's got a little Zoroastrian eagle symbol. There is the Mountain of the Ever-Burning Caverns. It's a lot of things there. It recruits the Zayadan Spabed, the Zayadan, and gives you 1 fire gem. Then there's Lake Urmia. It enables the recruitment of the Ice-clad Zayadan, and it gives you air, water, and astral. Now, one thing unique about this nation is that their temples are extra expensive, but they give you 1 fire gem a turn, if I understand correctly. I'll test that when I play it. So let's talk about the units. So as you can see here, many of the commanders and units, or 2 of the units, are grayed out. That's because they are only recruitable in a hot or a cold dominion, and if you'll recall, we set our dominion at nothing, our temperature at nothing. The reason I did that is because in the summers, I'll be able to recruit the hot guys, and in the winters, I'll be able to recruit the cold guys. So I'll be able to show off a little bit of everything. And I think that might be for the best in general, because you're going to want both mages, because it'll give you access to magical diversity. Now, you could get some points by going to Fire 3 or Ice 3, and it will make one side of your nation stronger, but at the expense of maybe not even being able to summon the mages of the other side. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or not. The Abyssians are, in my opinion, far superior as troops than the Kalim. Are they called Kalamites? I'm not entirely sure, but the flying Kalim guys. And as you can see, this is shown in the fact that the Abyssians make up a far larger portion of the units than the Kalim. But you start off with a Arya Scout, so just your typical Kalim Scout, though he does have the ice protection. Then your basic infantry commander, the Pygon Salar, which is a Turan infantry commander of moderate skill. Then you have the Spabed, the Turan Spabed, which is their leader. It's a general and commander. Great leadership, +1. And then you have the Arya Spabed. Now, here's the difference though. Less leadership, no bonus. So you would never ever recruit these guys, especially if your dominion is hot, because they have ice protection. There's no reason to have a cold dominion with this nation, I don't think. Now, people would say, oh, well, you recruit these guys to lead raiding parties. And yes, you could do that. That would be fine, I suppose. And go ahead and do that. But really, for your day-to-day army management, these guys are much better. You've got your Karapans. They're basically level 1 fire, level 1 holy. And then they have a 100% chance of air, death, or blood. Blood hunters, I guess, with a sanguine dowsing rod. Otherwise, just basic priests you can go and build temples with. You have the Athravan. Same exact thing. Only your randoms are air, water, and astral. But you still have the 1 fire and the 1 priest. So they would do the same thing. This guy might actually be a better choice simply because a flying priest can move around a lot easier. Now you get to the commanders that you cannot recruit unless you're in certain temperatures. You have the Dastor, which is your main workhorse Abyssian mage. He is old age. He has fire, blood, death, 2 holy, and then 100% chance of fire, air, death, or blood. So you could potentially have 2 blood, 2 death, or 2 fire with this guy. The air is kind of worthless, honestly. And finally, your main mage for the hot dominion, also old age, 3 fire, 1 death, 1 blood, with another chance of air, blood, and death, and finally a 10% chance of water or astral. So perhaps if you get the astral pick, he'd make a really neat Communion Master, but you don't really need that, or Sabbath Master with the blood, but you don't really need that because 3 fire is pretty solid. He can cast Falling Fires, for example, fresh out of the box. Then you get to the Kalim mages. You have the Zautar, 1 fire, 1 air, 1 water. Again, 2 priest, and a chance of fire, air, water, or astral. So 2 fire, 2 air, 2 water you could end up with if you're lucky. Then the Ira, or the Area Seraph, 3 air, 1 water, 1 astral with a chance of fire, water, astral, and then a 10% of death and blood. So as you can see, the Calum guys they do have access to the magic paths of Abyssia, they're just weak in it. And the same thing, the Abyssian guys have access to the magic paths of the Calum, they're just weak in it. So it's like, makes sense from a historical perspective. These two peoples came together and shared their knowledge, and so they have minimal access to the strengths of the other. So these guys are fresh out of the box Thunder Strikers. So that's fantastic. So, you wouldn't want to have a hot Dominion even though it benefits your Abyssians, because it would not allow you to get these guys. And remember now, lightning is armor piercing, or at least armor resistant or something. Then you have the Turan Shah, the main commander general leader. +1, 80 leadership, and he has 1 level priest. He could bless himself. Expensive, but pretty decent. Then you have the Area Shah. Same deal, only it's a Calum guy, so he's weaker in every respect. He doesn't have any leadership bonus, but he does fly. And then finally, you have the Zayadan Spabed. This is your best leader. He has +1, he has 80, but he's sacred. He has, well, he only has 16 hit points? Really? But these guys are great, and when they fall in battle, I don't know if the general, but when the main troops fall, then they become just a griffin. And if the griffin survives the battle, they will get another rider in the following battle. So that's pretty neat. And they're flying, of course. So you do have access to a flying commander if you choose to go with heat scales and you can't recruit any of the Calum guys. So with troops, you have the basic militia of Abyssia. You have basic broadsword javelin Abyssians. You have more elite heavy infantry, which is the broadsword but better armor. You have a horse archer, which I've never been able to find a good use for in Dominions, because it's not like you can run at the enemy, shoot your arrows, and then retreat in a tactical sense like you would with, like, say, a Total War game. They tend to just get chopped up by enemy arrows pretty easy. So they're great in idea, but they're poor in implementation, at least in this game. Then you have an armored regular cavalry, but still with a bow. You've got a cataphract. You lose the bow. Oh, you keep a bow, but you're much more heavily armored. And then you have the Savaran Guard, which again, much more heavily armored. Full plate mail here, as opposed to chainmail here, as opposed to cuirass here. So basically, these are all the same exact unit, just different levels of strength. And these guys, I think, have a lance. These guys only have a light lance. So there you go. You have the Turan War Elephant. Just like elephants everywhere else, it tramples. Morale is pretty bad. Again, just like other elephants. 80 gold cost. Wow, a year. So you're not going to want too many of these guys. It does have some armor, which is nice. And then you have the basic Calum Archer, which is probably the main Calum troop you're going to be recruiting. There's benefits to them. You can mass a lot of them and just have them go from army to army to support during special battles. You can have them sit on castles to siege, and they're flying, so they have a siege bonus, I think. You can do that with these guys, but you definitely don't want them to be fighting any enemies. You're going to want them in the back shooting their arrows. And then you have these guys, which you will probably never, ever, ever, ever recruit. And they're Calum light infantry, basically. And there's also Calum infantry. The only way these guys would be feasible is if you had a 3-cold Dominion, or if you winter wolved your own province and they were in defense, let's say. Otherwise, I just don't see a good use for them. Honestly, they're weaker in all respects to the Abyssian troops. And then finally, you have the Iceclad Zayadan, the sacred Calum unit, which, again, is inferior in every single way to the associated Abyssian sacred unit, so I don't know why you'd ever get these guys. But I guess if you're going to recruit Calum infantry, then these are the guys you're going to want to recruit, since they are the strongest. Though, again, you need to be in a cold Dominion to really utilize them at their best. And finally, you've got the best guys here, the Zayadens. They are sacred, they are fire resistant, they fly, and as I mentioned, if the Zayaden is killed, his griffin will fight on, and after the battle, another Zayaden will mount the riderless griffin. So kind of like the idea of the immortals of ancient Persia, where when one falls, another takes their place. That's why they were called immortal, not because they couldn't be killed, but because they could never run out. And well armored, just a very solid unit. Great guys to have. So that's really what you start out with. And I'll show you, hopefully I'll go through a year real quick and show you kind of the seasonal stuff. Let's start with a basic researcher. What do you have? You research 9, and so do you. And let's just go with some basic infantry. Kalor, I guess you can become my prophet, why not? And that's that. Are you a scout? Yeah. Might as well keep an eye on the enemy, even though we're not actually going to be playing. Okay. So now we're in spring still. Let's quickly recruit a few more. Let's recruit archers this time. Another researcher. Okay. Well, they are cheaper. I guess that makes them somewhat valuable. And that's that. Okay, so now we're in the summer, as you can see. So our recruitment opens up. We now can recruit any of the Abyssian mages and leaders, and finally also the Xeodan, but they are really expensive. So we're not going to get them just now. Let's just get some more infantry. And as far as the... Let's get a... Why not get a spa bed? Why not? Oh, wow. They take a ton of resources. That's probably why not. So, if you go with the strategy that I've gone with, and you take neutral temperature scales, you will be able to... Oh, man. I should have been going with conjuration. So be it. So you can see these guys pretty solid. I'll have him lead the army, and my prophet will just cast spells. You can tell I'm not playing for reals here. I'm not really trying to expand. I'm just buying time, really, until we can get to some of the high-level summons, and in the next episode I could show those off to you. Let's go with... Well, we don't really want you. You're an old age guy. Regular leader. We'll just go back to our... What about you? No, you're old age too. Alright, let's go with this guy again. Pretty solid researcher. And more archers. Maybe we'll do one battle, and then we'll call it an episode. Okay. Alright, so +1 morale isn't fantastic. You'll go to normal basically when you go in the line formation. So we are going to hold and attack closest. And you guys are going to also get in line formation, but you're going to stay behind. You're going to fire closest. Okay. And we'll move Kalor. We'll put you kind of in between. Yes, our leader is technically sacred, but I don't have a bless or anything, so I don't really care. Let's just courageousness them up, and then smite. Alright, sounds like a plan. So we are going to move Kausha and Kalor up. Meanwhile, I'll recruit another researcher and more infantry. I mean, you're kind of in a situation here because who are you going to recruit? I mean, yeah, these are all cool, and I think these guys can be recruited at any castle, so you have a lot of choices. I mean, eventually you might want your whole army to be the Catacracts if you have the production and the money, and you don't want to forego infantry completely. You know, I couldn't see you ever really recruiting a lot of horse archers. Probably just these two guys with some elephants to trample. Okay. So let's see how they do. Endless grass. So we have heavy cav, some light cav. Okay, this will be an interesting challenge for us. See how we do. Calum archers are pretty terrible, actually. What the... Okay, so this is kind of neat. This nation has what are called guardian spirits. So high-level priests, I guess, have a chance of auto-summon. I'm not even sure if it happens every battle, or if they get wounded, or if there's a chance of it. It doesn't happen all the time. But it's a Fravashi, and it's a guardian spirit that has magic. It is sacred, has awe. It's a pretty awesome, beefy unit. It follows the person from birth to death. It is distinct from a person's incarnate soul, and it guides him in life until he attains his higher nature. So, yeah, I don't know if this changes every time, or if the same guy has the same Fravashi. I would assume he has the same guy. Now, I don't know if all priests have this guy, or if they have a different guy, but that's very interesting. So let's see what he does. Oh, you have javelins? Oh, yeah, you guys do. Yeah, of course. So he's just casting spells. He doesn't seem to be doing too much. Let's take a closer look at these guys. I'm still trying to figure out what real-world nation these guys are based on. Like, obviously, the conqueror of Arco is Alexander the Great. And they've said at various points in time that both Calum and Abyssia are kind of Persian or Zoroastrian. And that would make sense with the Immortals and whatnot. But then this nation have combined... Are they the Khwarezm Shah? Their leaders are called Shah. Or, you know, maybe there's a specific little nation I'm not thinking about. But okay, we won the battle. The archers, honestly, leave a little bit to be desired, but you do have the appropriate magical paths for the archer boosting spells. I forget which one that is, but I'm pretty sure it's in the air path. Alright, so that's the deal. And we got to see the Fravashi, who you never actually see on the main screen, but only in the battles. That's kind of cool. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so I will go ahead and just fast forward a lot, and the next time I record an episode will be when I have all the paths necessary to summon the summon spells and my pretenders out. So let me know in the comments what you think of this new nation, and obviously I'm not very experienced with them. I'm probably doing everything wrong, but let me know how you think the showcase went, and let me know if you're going to be playing this nation, and if so, what you're going to do with it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.